Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we look at what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now, a new report by the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, the GECF, which acts as a sort of informal OPEC for natural gas, indicates that global gas consumption in 2024 may grow by 2.3%. Now, the Exporters Forum is made up by the major gas exporters that includes Russia and Qatar, but interestingly not the USA. Now, over the first 9 months of 2024, gas consumption in the main consuming countries increased by 2.8% compared to the same period in 2023, and it reached 1.798 trillion cubic metres. Now, that's a fair old chunk. Now, the projected growth in the global gas consumption in 2024 has actually been revised upwards by the GECF to 2.3%. Now, it's worth noting that gas consumption is growing everywhere in the world, particularly in Asia and the USA, but falling in Europe. Now, the fall in Europe is more to do with politics and the suppression of demand rather than normal factors. Now, the revision is primarily driven by the faster than expected growth in gas consumption in the key consumer countries, which account for around 60% of the global gas demand, it says in the report. Now, in September, the organisation was anticipating growth of 1.5%. In October, this had already increased by 2.2% to 2.2%. So meanwhile, total gas consumption in the main consumer countries continues to increase, and it's up by 3% in the first 9 months. And again, it's now up to almost 1.8 trillion cubic metres. Now, the major increase in consumption was in Asia and North America, while the decline continued in the EU and the UK. Now, let's note that both the EU and the UK have embarked on some seriously ridiculous green energy policies, with those in the UK looking at being suicidal and murderous, with energy bills being so high people have to choose between heating and eating. I mean, in the UK, the government is looking at euthanasia of its old people by freezing them to death in the winter, by withdrawing the winter fuel allowance they used to get to help pay for them to actually stay warm. Now, according to Elena Rotomskaya, who's an expert at the stock market at broker World of Investments, she says that global natural gas consumption will continue to experience similar growth rates next year, by about 3 to 4%. Now, before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and my website, scobricsinsight.com, to further develop it. You can do this by making a small donation, which is done by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the video screen. Now, everybody who donates does get a personal thank you from me, and I'm thanking you now just for watching, because I do appreciate all of you watching, and please like and share this video with your friends and those that you think might be interested, because I want to obviously grow the channel as much as I can. Now, the price of natural gas is going to be influenced by the rate of supply expansion, which is largely dependent on the speed of the commissioning of the new LNG export terminals, particularly in the United States, which are Golden Pass, Corpus Christi, Plaquemines. Now, recently, a number of Western media outlets published news about significant delays in the construction of some of those. So, in 2025, the LNG spot market is likely to still remain pretty volatile in terms of price. Now, energy consumption in the world is increasing. I mean, according to Tamara Safonova, who's a professor at the Institute of Economics, Mathematics and IT at the Russian Presidential Academy, she said global energy consumption, that's in total energy, increased by 3%, with energy using natural gas going up by 1.2%. Meanwhile, the total share of natural gas in the total volume of energy has already reached 23%. Although coal will remain the current main source of energy generation worldwide, which currently stands at 35% as a whole globally, but obviously in places like India and China it's much higher. Now, the possibility of the further price growth for gas by the end of the year is contingent on increased consumption and a reduction in the export supplies of natural gas and LNG to global markets. Now, In September 2024, China imported 6.55 million tonnes of LNG, and that's up 27% compared to its last year, which was 5.169 million. And that is a new monthly record for LNG intake into China. Plus, the demand concentration in the Asia-Pacific region was supported by notable increases in imports from India, which was up 8%, South Korea up 13%, and Taiwan was up 17%. Funnily enough, it was only Europe that saw it differently, as it saw a 15% reduction in LNG purchases, amounting to 1 million tonnes. Well, we understand why that is. Green energy policies again, isn't it? Plus the steelworks are shutting down, and as all the heavy industry doesn't need the gas. Now, China currently receives pipeline gas from 5 different countries, and they are Russia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan and Myanmar. Myanmar, the only non-stan amongst them, apart from Russia, of course. Now, it's anticipated that Russian pipeline gas supplies would increase yearly, largely due to the gas exports via the Power of Siberia. But it now looks like Russian LNG is now going to be a major increase, because they've reached the limit of Power of Siberia 1. Now, the price fluctuations in the short term, global gas prices, are going to be subject to change based on supply and demand and the seasonal factors. I mean, the heating season in Europe has just begun as winter has arrived, and that will result in higher gas prices in the EU over the coming months. Now, prices are unlikely to fall below $500 per 1,000 cubic metres, according to analysts that I've been reading about. Now, the conflict between Gazprom and Austria's OMV is exerting additional pressure on prices. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, the agreement on the transit of Russian gas to Europe through the Ukraine will expire on 31st of December. So on January the 1st, it's basically going to be, prices will go up possibly to $1,000 per 1,000 cubic metres of gas if Europe has a cold snap and there is no agreement on the transit supplies through the Ukraine. And I anticipate that prices will stabilise closer to the spring. I mean, according to the European Commission, it anticipates a growth of prices of 10% in 2024 and another 15% the following year. Now, I anticipate that prices will increase in the Asia-Pacific markets. It's going to drive the prices up in Europe. I mean, global consumption is increasing at a gradual but consistent pace, and I don't see any decline in demand in Asia, and certainly not in Europe much more than it has now. I mean, the new liquefaction capacities in the US, Russia and Qatar will increase to a level of supply and maybe will just stabilise prices. But that's dependent on the growth rate of the Chinese economy and the demand of gas from China, as well as the other Southeast Asian countries, which are the main drivers of the LNG prices. I mean, on the Austrian market, the price of gas reached its annual maximum level because Russia's stopped its gas supplies, because the Austrians decided that they basically were going to rely on an arbitration award, and of course that's going to be to their detriment. I mean, in mid-November, they announced that they'd won this arbitration because Gazprom couldn't supply gas from the Nord Stream pipeline that was blown up, so Russia had to pay a penalty for something that was beyond its control. I mean, you can't believe some of these people. I mean, they think that they can get away with all sorts of ridiculous things. So all that's going to happen is the Austrians will have to buy gas through a third-party supplier and at much higher prices. It will still be basically Gazprom's gas that they'll sell to Slovakia, and Slovakia will then sell it on to the Austrians at a higher price. I mean, that's a simple way of doing it. And of course, anybody who thinks that this win in the courts for the Austrians is fooling themselves. So anyway, so that's how it's looking as far as the gas market is concerned. It's all going to be in turmoil. Asia will continue to buy at decent volumes at their prices, and Europe will have to play catch up since it stopped buying the vast amounts of pipeline gas. It's at the mercy of what goes on in the markets. I mean, Norway cannot provide what it actually needs. The US basically only provides what it thinks it can get away with when the market in Europe matches the price that they'll get in Asia, and it's just the shipping costs that are lower. So that's where you're really at, and gas demand's going to grow rapidly in 2025, and the supply will continue to be constrained by the limited production growth. So, I mean, it's not going to be until 2027, 2028 that you're going to see any major growth in LNG. So, Russia's adapted to the new market, and so is the world. Higher prices for energy, folks, get used to it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you want to help me out, please click on the thanks button and make a donation. See you all again soon. Thank you.